Hi, thanks for watching. And so, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." And so, I open up tonight's topic, just a few minutes of your time, with that quote from the lovely Dr. Martin Luther King, because he's addressing loss, right? And a lot of the times, everybody in our society wants to talk about who wins and who's winning. And this is a scientific fact that when we win, males produce more testosterone, which leads to more dopamine, which makes us happier, right? And so there is some empirical based evidence there as to the positives of winning, right? But let's talk about losing for a second, right? And if we frame it in mind of, Dr. Martin Luther King's opening speech there, we can learn that even though we don't always come out ahead on top, being number one, there's never the lost hope for eventually getting that spot or achieving those goals, I think would be a better way to say that. And so there's an article and links in the reference below where I took some really, I thought, inspirational kind of stuff as it pertains to losing. So we learn more lessons in defeat. And let me tell you, it's so much easier to say that after the fact, right? I know in 2023 myself, I dealt with significant loss, like family wise, personal wise, financially. 2023 was difficult, right? And so I know that the lessons that I learned from being defeated, just absolutely defeated last year, to the point where hope was kind of getting tough to see or still believe in. But, that's the thing about losing, and that's why we're talking about it right now. Losing prevents complacency as well, right? And, just kind of like ignorance is bliss sort of an argument in terms of complacent isn't always a bad thing, I would say. But it is nice to especially in situations in which require your absolute awareness. And that could be from getting to actually know somebody and who they are, and, regardless of even the amount of physical time you've spent with that person, do you know that person, right? Do you know who you're sleeping next to? Do you know that inner person, right? And so I also know that I read another article, and again, links in the description below, but Jim Kelley is notoriously known for one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play professional football. But in that same line, you could also say that he is not one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, because he led his team to 4 Super Bowls and did not win one of them. And so I bring Jim Kelley up because he was interviewed in this CBS article that I've linked in the description below. And when asked if he would have rather been to the 4 title games and lost all 4 of them, or just been to 1 and had been successful, his response was he'd rather have gone to the 4 and lost all of them. And in true champion fashion, I would argue that that is probably the biggest career of his, the biggest success or victory in his career, is coming to terms with that very principle. He goes on to say furthermore in the article to explain why he thinks that, and he has some great reasons. And he led his team to 4 title games. Not a lot of quarterbacks can say that. They came up short, yes, but on any particular day, a person can be off, things can go wrong, and so sometimes even the best of us work for our entire lives to get to a place, and we're still not just quite able to get there yet. And there's some references to studies done with Olympic gold medal winners, and gold and silver and bronze, as they pertain to the different athletes and their level of happiness later on in their life and so forth. So I encourage you to do research on your own. But just know that if you're losing right now in any aspect or on any venue of life, you must progress. You must continue to move forward. The moment you stop is the moment you indefinitely lose. And again, that's not how the game is played. Quite often, we will lose. We will come up short. Sometimes to our very own detriment. Sometimes to the point where we absolutely have nothing at all. Trust me, I've been there. And when these things happen, it's again important to take success away from the losses you feel like you're incurring. Took some hard work to get to where you're at in life. A little bit of luck, sure, absolutely, but most definitely, most of us are able to receive what we put out into the world, right? And so even if there's some of us, including myself, who have fared many, many, many more losses than they have been able to enjoy victories, it's okay. And the whole point of the game is to keep playing and to get better at it, to continue to turn yourself into the best person that you can be, so that you can ultimately compete in any level that you kind of choose to do that with or not, right? But the whole point is that there's nothing wrong with losing, and as long as we take those lessons away from our loss and we build upon our character and we evaluate the things that we did wrong, which are again incredibly difficult things to sometimes think about, as far as like introspectively, right? But it's something that must be done. And trust me, once that is done, then you think about something like what Kennedy would say, right? We have nothing to fear but fear itself. And especially as it comes to losing, there is nothing to be afraid of and or ashamed of when it comes down to being the person who loses. And again, it often arguably builds more strength, more character, and more resilience.